This morning, thousands of teenagers set out for the day that determines so much of their future. And as if that wasn't nerve-wracking enough, 18-year-old Emily in Liverpool had to deal with us hanging out outside her house.
How are you feeling, Emily?
I'm feeling
Big
okay.
day?
Yeah, it is. Very
Anxious or
A little bit, but I feel alright so far.
fingers crossed?
Yeah, hopefully.
Good luck. See you at the other end.
Thank you.
This is the first time since the pandemic the grades are actually based on exams. Across England, Wales and Northern Ireland, the number of top grades for A-levels has fallen, and that's reflected at this sixth form college too. But there was still plenty of happy faces and some pleasant surprises.
I wasn't predicted that, but yeah, I got B and A star. I'm very happy. Thank you.
It must feel great after all your hard work.
Yeah, I feel very happy now. I'm very relieved.
That's brilliant. Proud, yeah.
How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling excited, you know, like yesterday I was so nervous, I was so scared, I was like, oh my God, what if I don't get in?
I'm so pleased for her, really am pleased.
It's been a tough few years for them, hasn't it?
Yeah, it really has, but she's done so well. They've both done so well, haven't they?
Yeah, really proud of them, really proud.
Today's results demonstrate an unequal country. In London and the South East, 39% got A and A-star grades. Here in the North West, it's 34%. And the North East of England comes out worst at 31%. This college is based in one of the most deprived neighbourhoods of the UK. Add in the pandemic with its lockdowns, and the fear is pre-existing divides could deepen.
It's been a tough time for young people, hasn't it?
Incredibly tough, and I think we can't forget that because, you know, this group of students who are collecting results today, they never sat GCSEs, so they didn't have that experience to call on when they did their A-level exams. They've had a disrupted 2 years with remote learning. And I think this group of young people nationally get accused of not being very resilient, whereas we've seen the opposite.
It's a strange moment for them to be going out into the world. You know, we have a lot of talk about how difficult things are going to get economically. Do you worry about them?
Yes, in short, yes. I think it's, you know, the world is a bit of a crazy place at the minute. What we try and instill in them is, you know, if you've got that work ethic, if you can really work hard, dig deep, develop your resilience and your grit and your determination, actually you'll be okay.
In England this year is the first time T-level students have received their results too. That's a new technical qualification introduced in 2020 and equal to 3 A-levels. Holly has been studying healthcare science.
I either want to be a paramedic or a paediatric nurse. I'm excited to go to university. I think it'll be a really good experience.
Does it feel strange being in that first generation of young people doing T-levels?
Yeah, but it's really exciting, and even though it feels like there's a lot of pressure on us, it's really exciting.
Results, best of luck.
Thank you.
So how'd it go, Emily?
I got an A star in biology, an A star in computer science, and an A in maths.
Wow, that's amazing. You clever thing.
Thank you.
Were you expecting it?
No, not really, no.
Emily got into the course she wanted, but more than 20,000 students who've applied to university haven't yet got a place. Many of them will now be going through clearing. And there was disappointment for some hoping to get into medical school. Places are incredibly competitive and capped to 7,500, despite the ongoing NHS shortage.
You are strictly limited in the number of spaces you are able to offer medical students. Do you think that cap still makes sense?
As a university, I think it would be wonderful if we could have more medical students, and we all know how much the health service needs them. But it is a complicated issue that we have a cap, and therefore there is a cap on funding.
With rising inflation and a recession forecast, this is not going to be an easy time for 18-year-olds, whether heading into work or to university. There are clearly challenges to come for this generation of young people, but the hope is they've weathered the pandemic and they're ready for the future ahead.
Well, earlier I spoke with the Minister for School Standards, Will Quince. I put it to him that some of this year's A-level students might feel they've been treated harshly, given they'd suffered the worst disruption to their education since the Second World War, and yet a third of them won't get their first or backup place at university.
Well, university entrance has always been a competitive process. It was right that we had to go back at some point to examinations. We've done that in a two-stage approach with adaptations in place. What I would say to young people is over 200,000 18-year-olds are now off to university, 180,000 of whom got their first place. We've seen over 23,500 disadvantaged students or students from disadvantaged backgrounds going off to university. Of course, there will be young people who are disappointed. They will still go on to university in the vast majority of cases and go on to do fantastic and interesting things.
But in terms of those students who feel that this is just unfair, that it is luck of the draw that they didn't take their exams last year, but they took them this year, that it doesn't feel a very fair process. Do you accept that?
So Jackie, I don't, because that's exactly why, in reflection of the fact that young people had faced disruption over the past couple of years, we put in place a number of exceptional adaptations. So we didn't go back to just pure examinations. We put those adaptations in place and ensured that we weren't just going back to examinations as they were in 2019. Because of those adaptations, including the way Ofqual graded and marked papers, it meant that we knew that grades would still be higher than those who took examinations in 2019, but lower than those who had teacher-assessed grades. And don't forget, university is a competitive process and people are judged against their peers. And with everyone sitting at examinations with those same adaptations in place, it is the fairest and best approach in our view.
So huge efforts being made to close the attainment gap between poorer and better off students at a time when places are particularly tight at some of the top universities, as they're called. If an institution is faced with two students with the same grades, should they choose the student who's had perhaps the more challenging background?
Well, ultimately, it's about trusting and empowering universities to make those decisions, and I do trust them to do so. It has never been exclusively about the grades that you have. It's about your roundness as an individual, the extracurricular activities, and indeed also some of the challenges that you faced in life too, which demonstrates a level of resilience. And I trust universities, and that's why we empower universities through their admissions process to make those decisions.
Do we no longer face a critical shortage of doctors, given that the number of applicants for medicine who received offers this year is significantly down and the government is refusing to move on the cap that exists for medical students?
So there have been an additional 1,500 places at medical school over the past few years. We've got 5 new medical schools built. It's one thing about the university places, and that's of course one thing we look at, but we have to work very closely with the NHS and the Department for Health and Social Care around places, because it's not just about the academic side of a degree, it's also about the placements, it's about the NHS's ability to fulfil those placements, and not just in the degree, but also the ongoing training placements that need to happen for somebody to qualify as a doctor and then to progress as a doctor. And that's why we work very closely with the NHS and the Department for Health and Social Care on those places in medical schools.
The number of international students continues to go up. We know that they pay more and they're a very obvious funding stream for universities. In terms of that fight for a university place, are you happy with that?
It's important to stress there are 2 streams in every university, international students and UK students. There are record numbers of 18-year-olds going to university this year, so they won't be affected by international students coming in. But I think it's important to stress international students play a hugely important role in the diversity of our universities, but also ensuring the income stream. Of course, the income benefits into our universities, both international students and UK students too.
And just finally, T-levels, of course, are the latest, newest exam. What's your assessment about their success this year?
I'm proud that we've delivered it, and I look forward to many thousand more students taking it up next year and the year thereafter. Did
you get good A-levels yourself?
Well, my A-levels didn't go as planned. I knew they didn't, and this is why I always say to young people, have a plan B. Your grades are important, but they don't define you. It's about having a clear plan and working hard.
Will Quince, thanks very much for talking to us today.